Hello everyone, welcome yet again to another segment of weekly church news from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be highlighting a number of stories, including the protests going on in Ethiopia, the work Adra is doing to help the countries that are facing difficulties, among others. Stay tuned to the end. I will be your reporter for today, Jane Mwena. Southwestern Adventist University Nursing Department awarded $90,000 grant. The Southwestern Adventist University has been selected as a recipient of a $90,000 Nursing Innovation Grant Program awarded under the 2020-2022 request for applications entitled Supporting Clinical Learning Experiences to Mitigate Impediments Due to COVID-19. Funding from this grant, provided by the Academic Quality and Workforce Division of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, will allow SWSU's Department of Nursing to purchase additional simulation equipment and expand their clinical learning program on campus. The effects of COVID-19 impacted nursing students across the globe, causing many nursing programs to make adjustments to their clinical learning programs. As a result of this grant funding, SWAU will be able to offer students more clinical experience in simulation labs on campus and greater preparation for real patient care. Funding is being awarded over the course of 2 years and will allow SWAU's nursing program to provide an even higher quality experience while remaining hands-on and affordable. This is as reported by the North American Division's news site. In East Central Africa, church leaders thank God for their achievements so far. The Adventist Review reports that during the recent year-end meetings, Seventh-day Adventist church leaders in East Central Africa Division, ECD, gave thanks to God for what they called the mercies and miracles that have accompanied the mission in the region during the past 5 years. The meetings were held virtually this year through Zoom because of the COVID-19 related restrictions, and the committee acknowledged God's assistance through all this. Among many other blessings, the division committee said they were grateful for exponential membership growth. The total has passed 4.5 million members. In his report, ECD President Blasius Ruguri highlighted some milestones, including the total member involvement, TMI, in evangelism, new churches in unentered territories, and the brand new medical school in Rwanda. We thank God for the wonderful things He has done. The ECD story is not just a report, it is a testimony of miracles, Ruguri said. The Bible tells us that miracles will accompany us in our endeavors with Him, and we have seen His hand. German Adventist leaders warn against trivialization of or belief in conspiracy. The leaders of the Adventist denomination in Germany has issued a public statement about the coronavirus. The statement rejects conspiracy theories related to the pandemic and warns against trivializing the virus. The APD, the official German language Adventist news agency, reported the statement was issued by pastors Werner Derlinger and Johannes Nether, President and Vice President of the Free Church in Germany. In warning against trivialization of the COVID-19 pandemic, the leaders said this: "We see irresponsible behavior in this, which contributes to the endangerment of the population and carries traits of solidarity. We encounter this clearly and with the clarity of the factual discussion. The current development of new infections and the numerous deaths speak a language of their own that leaves little room for alternative interpretations. The statement also rejected efforts to paint the crisis as something deliberately engineered by powerful entities. Here, reality is taken and absurdum, and the complex interrelationship of a serious global crisis are reduced to the unprovable alternative. Denominational entities are not allowed to disseminate such theories through Adventist churches, institutions, or media outlets. The leaders say this is a muzzle or form of censorship, but rather a policy issue regarding official representation of the church, as reported by Adventist Today. Two Adventists re-elected to Congress. In the general elections that just happened in the United States of America, the two Adventists who serve in Congress were each easily re-elected. Sheila Jackson Lee represents District 18 in Texas and has served since January 1995. Before first being elected to Congress, she served as an elected city council member in Houston from 1990 to 1994 and a municipal judge from 1987 to 1990. She is a graduate of Yale University and the University of Virginia Law School. Dr. Raul Ruiz represents District 36 in California, which is not far from Loma Linda University, but does not include the town of Loma Linda. He was first elected in 2012 and re-elected this year with 59% of the votes, the same strong majority he received in 2018. He is an emergency room doctor with an MD and a master's in public health from Harvard University. From 2011 to 2012, he was associate dean of the Medical School of the University of California, Riverside campus. Both members of Congress are part of the Democratic Party, and both are from ethnic minority groups. World Council of Churches calls for peace in Ethiopia's Tigray region. Fighting began in Ethiopia on 4th of November when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed launched military operations in response to an attack on federal troops by armed forces loyal to Tigray People's Liberation Front, resulting in heavy casualties and thousands of civilians fleeing the region. In a statement released by a virtual meeting, the Executive Committee of the World Council of Churches, WCC, condemned the numerous brutally violent attacks against churches and communities, especially affecting the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, on the members of any community defined by religion or ethnicity, on churches and holy places, and on civilians by armed groups, and mourned the death of the many people. The WCC also expressed concern for the many people displaced by the fighting. We pray that they may be assured of their security and religious freedom so that they may return to their homes, the statement reads. We denounce those who seek to foster tensions, division, antagonism, and bloodshed among the people of Ethiopia for their own political purposes. The WCC added, urging all stakeholders to retreat from their precipice of a new catastrophe and to return to dialogue rather than conflict, to cooperation rather than division. The Executive Committee also conveyed the WCC's support and encouragement to all the churches of Ethiopia to raise their prophetic voice for inclusive dialogue, peace, justice, and unity against violence and hatred. This is as reported by the Vatican News. Adra event includes an online auction to support projects in Africa and Myanmar. Adra Norway writes on their website that the year 2020 has been a different year. Many lockdown rules called for new ways of fundraising. In Norway, the Everyone Involved program held on the 14th of November 2020 marked the end of the International Adventist Week of Prayer and the Adventist Development and Relief in Gathering campaign. In cooperation with Hope Channel and Adra, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Norway came up with an idea to have people from their churches around the country gather to watch a special program online. With the latest restriction rules, they were encouraged to join in the program from the comfort of their homes and use the Adra Norway Facebook page as the platform to communicate with each other. The 2-hour program on November 14th was streamed from an Adventist church in Monderland with live features and video clips from numerous places in Norway and included an online auction. The auction offered a colorful painting, Everyone Included, painted for the occasion by artist Anne Valen Nurse. The auction also included a photograph of a cheetah by nature photographer Tom Shandy, a vegetarian cooking course by journalists and cookbook by Jean Olav Nordahl, and other items. Adra Norway works in 6 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and in Myanmar to improve the life situation of women, children through inclusive high-quality education and long life learning for all. Adra Brazil serves the population affected by blackout in Amapa. The Adventist Development and Assistance Resources Agency, Adra Brazil, will assist the population of Amapa in the wake of the recent emergency decreed by the state government due to the blackout that has hit the region for 5 days. The incident left 13 of the 16 municipalities without power, which affects about 90% of the population. In an initial response, the agency will provide water for 450 families while assessing other residents' needs. The power outage started on Tuesday night, November the 3rd, during a storm. According to the Ministry of Mines and Energy, an explosion and consequently a fire damaged the transformers in the most important substation in Macapa. The cause has not yet been identified. The Seventh-day Adventist Church's humanitarian agency is present in more than 130 countries. In Brazil, it is organized in 13 regional offices covering 15 states. Alencar currently maintains an office in Peru, which is working to assist those affected in Amapa, the South American Division's Portuguese news site report. Tick of approval for Sun Cancer Center. Sydney, Australia Adventist Hospital's Integrated Cancer Center, which operates in partnership with Icon Cancer Center Wahronga, has achieved some of the highest ratings of care in a statewide patient survey of cancer clinics. This major tick of approval restores the Sun Integrated Cancer Center to the position first earned in 2017 as among New South Wales' best for patient reported experience, and reaffirmed by the 2018 survey results, which show the hospital received some of the highest results across the variety of performance measures. The Outpatient Cancer Clinics survey is the result of a partnership by the Bureau of Health Information and the Cancer Institute NSW. This was published on the website of the Adventist Record. Peru's interim president, Manuel Merino, resigns after less than a week in the top job. Manuel Merino has quit as caretaker president. He was installed following the impeachment of President Martin Vizcarra exactly a week ago. This was followed by nationwide protests. In a nationally televised broadcast, Merino, who had been previously the Speaker of Congress, called it a day. 12 of the short-lived government ministers, including those of Justice, Transport, Trade, Energy and Mines, have also resigned, reports the Vatican News. The protesters are condemning Congress, saying it's launching an internal coup. Merino was supposed to be the interim caretaker until Vizcarra's non-renewal term ended in July next year. Congress has accused Vizcarra of accepting bribes as a state governor prior to him democratically winning the presidency in 2018. Vizcarra, who's accused Merino of being a dictator, has categorically denied all accusations of graft. A judge has ordered Vizcarra not to leave the country. Peru has had 5 presidents during the last 5 years. The presidential palace now lies empty. Uncertainty rather than a president rules. Raising the stakes for gospel in Iran. CBN News reports that the stakes for being an underground follower of Jesus in the Islamic Republic of Iran get riskier and riskier by the day. Persecution of the fastest growing church in the world occurs periodically and unpredictably. The secret police break into homes, arrest, imprison, beat, and torture house church leaders, threatening them with death. Yet, fueled by oppression, the underground house church movement in Iran continues to grow at a sizzling pace, with 1 million believers, perhaps more, in this nation of 84 million people. Just as God used brave Christians to smuggle Bibles behind the Iron Curtain of a half-century ago, He is now using modern technology to beam the gospel uncensored directly into Iranian homes. Earlier this year, Iran made it illegal to promote Christianity online in virtually any form, including online church services, digital discipleship resources, and even Christian chat sessions. But that's not stopping legions of smartphone-savvy Iranians, especially the younger generation, from tasting the forbidden fruits of the gospel online, streaming Christian services and videos, and asking questions about Jesus on Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, and many other social media pages. Iran's spiritual foundations are shaking, and the Holy Spirit is on fire. Hurricane Iota hits Nicaragua. CNN reports that Iota is now considered the strongest storm to hit Nicaragua in the country's history and has killed 6 people, according to the Nicaraguan government. 4 adults and 2 minors are dead, according to the Nicaraguan Vice President Rosario Murillo. More than 400,000 people in Nicaragua were affected by the storm as it made landfall near Jaulava Tuesday as a Category 4 storm with maximum sustained winds near 155 mph, according to the NHC. Over 62,000 people in the Central American nation have been moved into 683 government shelters following the storm, the country's government said on national television on Tuesday. There is almost no communication with the city of Bilwi, also known as Puerto Cabezas, due to blackouts and fallen electrical cables. In Colombia, at least 2 people have died and 1 is missing, according to the Colombian President Ivan Duque. In conjunction to that, we have Adra Director joining us from Honduras, who has more information about the iota that has hit the Central American countries and the effect that it's had on them. We had the privilege of him joining us at the studio to take an interview with us, and we will get to hear what he has to say about that. Joining us today at the studio, we have the Adra Director from Honduras, who's going to shed a little bit more of light about what's happening in the Central American countries that have been affected by the hurricane that has been in the week. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for this moment to share what our country is going through. This has been a very dramatic situation. We had never experienced something like this, being in the middle of 2 Hurricane Category 4 in less than 2.5 weeks. So thank you, and thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. In the wake of the hurricanes that have happened, how many people have been affected? What has been the extent of the effect on the people in the country? And could you just try and tell us what ADRA has tried to do? What measures has it put forth to help people, both humanitarian and also plans for the future?
Thank you. Well, we've been hit by 2 hurricanes. The first one was ETA. By the time ETA hit Honduras, we were really not ready for that. We have to be honest with that. We were not expecting that catastrophic impact. By the time we were counting the effect, we had almost 2 million people affected with ETA. As we combined the 2 hurricanes, the statistic report from the Civil Protection that was released this morning, we are looking at a little bit over 3 million people affected in the whole country. We have had damages on the North Atlantic coast of Honduras, but now with Iota, we have damages. We have damage in the center, in the south of Honduras, as well as, again, the Hurricane Iota hit again and flooded again the North and Atlantic coast of Honduras that was already in severe damage before it came here. So we have a lot of houses that has been destroyed. The last report, we have like 26,800 houses has been damaged, and more than 200 has been, completely destroyed. 40 bridges has been destroyed, and more than 70 communities all over the country has been severely damaged. One of the things that we have not been able to count is the impact in the agriculture. You have to remember that Honduras is one of the poorest country in Latin America, the second poorest country. 65% of our people living under poverty condition and food insecurity. So by the loss of agriculture crops, this will increase the food insecurity that we were already facing with the COVID-19 situation as well. ADRA has been mobilizing its teams all over the place. We have been distributing hygiene supplies to the shelters, to families in the communities. We have been also sharing or distributing food rations to families, especially on the North and Atlantic coast. That has been our target areas. The church has been also collaborating and developing or distributing also food and also shelter kits. And and clothes, because people, a lot of people, thousands of people just lost everything they had, and not only their houses, but they were not able to get anything with them. They had to run to really escape from the flooding that was happening uh, um, last week ago. We have to say that by having only 75 people die, which this will be increasing, but even though it is something positive in a way, because it means that people were obedient to follow the early alert. And that way we don't have that a lot of death as we would have had it, because of the way we acted and the way we actually evacuated people, in a very effective way. But the damage has been dramatically in the livelihood and in the houses and agriculture and everything.
Clearly, this has really affected the country, and we're very sorry because it's a natural phenomena that we cannot really prevent. We can just mitigate the effects that they have. And so what are the challenges that and the church in general is facing during this period, and what are you trying to do to get over the challenges and move forward and help people in their time of need?
Yes, I'm really impressed, and I've been blessed to see how people in our church, and not only church, but the whole society has really shown this good heart. Adra has been under a lockdown measure since middle March for COVID-19. I mean, this has impacted dramatically the economy of the country. We were just reopening the economy when these two hurricanes came here. So we were like just getting the head out of the water when these national disasters came and made things worse. So, but even despite this, people have shown good heart, sharing food, sharing clothes, doing whatever they can, even though we are not a rich country, we are a very poor country, but with good hearts. And especially the members of our church, they're not away or they're not isolated from this reality. They are part of this reality. And before we got any external funds to respond, the church were already collecting in-kind distribution in the communities. So as Adra, we are planning to help people that are already in shelters with the hygiene supplies, with mattresses, because we got people, a lot of people are just still sleeping on the floor. There's a need for food rations because people have not been able to work. They cannot go back to the lands. The lands are completely flooded. So this means that to mitigate the impact of food insecurity, we need to allow them to have access to food, access to safe water for drinking. That's also another major need that we are putting that into our strategic planning already to action. And we also are distributing the biosafety supplies, because as you have, by having people in shelters, the social distancing is not going to be possible, to manage that properly. And as we were assessing the need in some of the shelter, we noticed that people were not having face masks. There were not, enough water to clean their house, their hands. So there's a need for the biosafety supplies to kind of like contain the spread of COVID-19. That also it is a big issue here in the country.
And since you have mentioned COVID-19, do you think it's still a priority, considering you've mentioned food insecurity, sanitation, and all those other things? And do you think that the country has the capacity to handle any other spikes in COVID-19 cases? And what do you think is the way forward to help not only avoid the spread of the disease, but also help people live in a very sanitary condition, in as much as they're crowded in the camps that they're staying in?
Yes. Yes, the country does not have the capacity to handle this COVID-19. I mean, from the beginning of this pandemic, this was already over the capacity of the country. And the country was not even affected in the way they were handling, the response to COVID-19. What we're doing is NGO is trying to provide the basic supplies so that whoever goes to the shelters will go with the protection, basic protection is needed, face mask, antibacterial gel. If there's no water for hand washing, at least they can have some gel, alcohol gel, so that they can sanitize their hands. And also provide that to the health clinic so that can be distributed to the people in the area. And the other thing is that as we distribute the goods, whether it is food or hygiene or water or anything, we have to really maintain a very strict protocol so that we avoid having all those people crowded, so that we can try to keep the social distancing as we go on and distribute the things, in the community, respecting and protecting people from getting harmed. So those are the things that we're doing. We have to do this and also do the other thing. I mean, we cannot do one and neglect the other one. So both things has to go come along, in both hands. So far that's what we've been doing, and all the NGOs are following this protocol because it is a great need in this country, and we know that if COVID-19 is not under control, the economy and the livelihood of people will get even more severe impacted than what it is right now.
That is very true. And you've mentioned other NGOs. That means you're not working alone as Adra. You're also joining hands with other NGOs. Is that right?
Yes, Adra is working very closely with the United Nations clusters. Adra is part of the food cluster and the wash clusters. And we also are coordinating everything with the government. In all those clusters, we have different NGOs that are part of the whole cluster. This situation that we're facing, it is much, much bigger than what the country, what United Nations, or what one specific NGO is able to do. If we have to recover this, we have to unite everybody together, because this is a catastrophic situation. The need is so much and the resources are so limited to respond, even here in Honduras. And if you consider what has happened in Nicaragua, Guatemala, and other places, I mean, it's a lot.
Indeed, it's quite a lot, and I totally agree with you that you cannot do it on your own. And so what would you like to tell our viewers, or those who will listen to you out there? How can someone who wants to support you as Adra or those in the islands do? And what is the mode of support that can be put across
Yes.
to you guys?
Any help that can come to this country will be greatly, highly appreciated. I mean, consider that this is a country that 45-50% of the population were already living under the extreme poor condition. When COVID-19 came, just made things worse, and when these two hurricanes came, just made anything worse. A food ration is $22-25, and that will secure the food of people for at least 10 days in this country. So even $20 can make a big difference in the life of a family. We need that kind of help, just to help us to resolve, not to resolve, but to contribute to get down the food insecurity situation that's going to be facing. Supplies for the wash, hygiene, biosafety, and of course, after this passes, we need to think about the early recovery in agriculture, because this is a very agriculture country, and I was just receiving call this morning that 80% of the beans production are completely lost in the country.
Well, that is very sad, and thank you so much for taking your time to join us at the studio to let us know what's going on in Honduras and those other countries that have been affected by the hurricane. And we pray that God may open up ways for everyone in Honduras and bless Adra for the work that it's doing, and help Adra so that it may continue helping those in need and drawing people closer to Christ. Thank you so much for joining us today, Louis.
Thank you, my sister, and thank you for your prayers. And I just want to say thank you to the people of Great Cayman Island. We are already working together, and thank you for all the things that you're already doing. By that, we have been able to be on the ground responding. May God bless you, and thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. God bless you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment today. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the end, and thank you for watching. Thank you for leaving your comments, your likes, and for sharing the video. I'd like to extend an appeal for support. Thank you so much for the support you've given us so far. But if you would like to continue partnering with ABN and supporting ABN to spread the word of God, and you would like to do so, do not hesitate to use the following platforms. You could send $5 or more every month by our PayPal or Zelle account, whose email address is info@adventbroadcast.net. I will say that again, info@broadcast.net. And if you would like to send your money via Cash App, the Cash App name is $Advent Broadcast. $Advent Broadcast. You can reach us through so many other ways, including our phone number, which is +1 346 370 5540. That is +1 346 370 5540. Reach out to us and we will be able to get back to you. Thank you so much for your support this far. May God bless you and take you through yet another week. I have been your reporter for today, Jane Mwena.